Strange Tales from a Chinese Studio, Story 10.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we have to set the scene first, and we need to understand exactly who you're dealing with.
Right. Setting the stage is key here.
So, we follow this human official. His name is Lord Wang Yongkang, and he's traveling to take up a brand new government post in the Chu region. It's a really long journey, and along the way, he decides to make a detour.
A very specific detour.
Yes, to Mount Longhu, just to pay his respects to someone known as the Celestial Master. But before we even get to the strange part, we really need some context for this.
Yeah, it's not just a random mountain.
Exactly. What actually is Mount Longhu? And, why is an earthly government official going out of his way to visit this Celestial Master?
So to understand the gravity of this scene, you have to realize that Mount Longhu isn't just a picturesque spiritual retreat. Historically, it was essentially the Vatican of Taoism.
Oh, wow. The Vatican?
Yeah, it was the administrative headquarters for the most prominent school of Taoist religion. And the Celestial Master, that is a hereditary title passed down for centuries.
It's a huge deal.
Massive. He acts as the spiritual leader of this entire tradition. You could literally think of him as the Taoist Pope.
Okay, so Lord Wang, who is this magistrate embedded in the earthly government of the Qing dynasty, he is traveling to pay his respects to the highest earthly authority of the spiritual realm.
Exactly. It's one bureaucrat paying respect to another, just, in different departments.
That makes what happens next so much more interesting, because Lord Wang reaches this vast lake at the base of the mountain, right? And he boards a boat to cross it.
Just a normal river crossing, or so he thinks.
Right. But just as he sets foot on the deck, before he has announced himself or sent any word ahead whatsoever, a very tall, very striking man in a small skiff approaches his boat.
Which is already a little weird.
Super weird. And this man just hands over a calling card from the Celestial Master. And the message is basically, we knew you were coming. I was sent ahead to welcome you.
A formal, totally preemptive greeting.
It's an incredible flex. I mean, imagine you're planning a trip right now, right?
Okay, I'm imagining it.
You haven't booked your flight. You haven't told a single soul. You show up at the airport, and there's already a chauffeur holding an iPad with your name on it, sent by the exact person you secretly intended to visit.
It's wild. It's so unnerving.
It is. But actually, I have a structural question here. Doesn't this kind of ruin the element of surprise?
How do you mean?
Well, if you're this incredibly powerful Celestial Master, why show your hand immediately? Why not wait until Lord Wang heists all the way up the mountain, sweating, and then casually reveal you knew he was coming?
See, that's a great point. But what's fascinating here is how the supernatural is introduced through a totally mundane, bureaucratic, a calling card.
Right. A piece of paper.
Yeah. But to address your point about ruining the surprise, you have to look at the power dynamics of 17th century China. This isn't about maintaining a cool sense of mystery.
It's not a magic trick.
No, it's about immediately establishing dominance in a language that the guest actually understands.
Dominance through what? Hospitality.
Exactly that. Lord Wang is a government official. He understands surveillance, he understands intelligence gathering, and he knows how information flows through earthly channels.
Okay. I see where this is going.
Right. By sending a messenger with a formal beiming, which is a traditional red calling card, before Lord Wang has even announced himself, the Celestial Master is signaling that his intelligence network is absolute.
Which in this case is literally just clairvoyance.
Exactly. The earthly official is instantly outmatched.
So he's using Wang's own love of administrative red tape against him. He's basically saying, I see your earthly protocol, and I'm raising you supernatural foresight.
That is the perfect way to put it. It immediately commands Lord Wang's deep reverence. He's no longer just a visiting dignitary.
He's on their turf now.
Yeah, he is stepping into a realm where he is completely out of his depth. The human official is thoroughly reminded that he is very much the junior partner in this interaction.
And it absolutely works. Wang is appropriately awed, and he continues up Mount Longhu with utter sincerity. Which leads us to the welcome banquet hosted by the Celestial Master.
The banquet scene is amazing.
It really is. But the text makes it very clear that the vibe in this dining hall is deeply, deeply unsettling.
Yeah, the author, Pu Songling, is very deliberate with his atmosphere here. He doesn't rely on, cheap jump scares.
No, it's more subtle.
He builds a total uncanny valley.
Seriously, the servants attending the banquet are described in a way that just makes your skin crawl. Their clothing, their oversized hats, the way their beards grow.
It's all just slightly off.
Exactly. The text explicitly notes that they simply, quote, do not look like ordinary people.
Which is terrifying in a formal setting.
So if you're listening, imagine sitting at a formal dinner. And every single waiter pouring your wine moves just a little too stiffly, or their features look slightly stretched.
I'd want to leave immediately.
Same. And among these bizarre servants is that same tall messenger from the lake, the one who delivered the calling card.
Right, who is now serving drinks alongside these uncanny entities.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting. This tall messenger leans in and whispers something to the Celestial Master.
Just a little side conversation.
Yeah, and after hearing this whisper, the Master turns to Lord Wang and says, "Do you not recognize your fellow townsman?"
The cognitive dissonance of that moment is staggering.
It spins the whole story on its head. The Master reveals that this strange, tall messenger, this bizarre entity pouring wine at a haunted banquet, is none other than the Hail God.
The literal god of hail.
Yes, his name is Li Zuoshe. So imagine you're sitting there, completely creeped out by this otherworldly being, and then you find out not only is he a deity, but he's also a local boy from your own home region.
Small world, even in the spiritual realm.
Very small. But wait, I have to pause here. How does a local guy end up as the Hail God? Does the story actually explain that?
So the story assumes the reader already understands Chinese folk religion. In this tradition, gods are very rarely abstract eternal beings that have existed since the dawn of time.
Okay, so they aren't like Zeus or something.
No, not usually. More often than not, they are historical human beings. Generals, local heroes, or even notable scholars who died and were essentially drafted into the heavenly civil service.
Wait, drafted?
Yeah. Li Zuoshe historically was a famous military strategist from antiquity. So the idea that a local historical figure got a promotion to a mid-level management position in a heaven like the Department of Hail makes perfect sense in this cosmology.
That is fascinating. The heavens are literally just staffed by dead professionals.
Exactly, just doing their jobs.
But the hometown reunion is incredibly short-lived. Because the reason the Hail God was whispering to the Master is that he has to excuse himself from the banquet.
Duty calls.
It does. And the reason he has to leave is that he just received an imperial decree from heaven. He's been ordered to go rain massive amounts of hail on a place called Zhangqi, which just so happens to be Lord Wang's home district.
Yeah. The fellow townsman is about to clock in for his shift and absolutely destroy their mutual hometown.
And Lord Wang just panics. I mean, he drops to his knees and immediately begs the Celestial Master to intervene, to, spare his home and his crops from this disaster.
He's desperate.
Completely. And the Master's response is the key. The Master explains that he didn't order this.
Right, it wasn't his call?
No. The Jade Emperor, the supreme deity, basically the CEO of heaven, ordered this. And the Master says there is a quota, a fixed, unbending amount of hail that simply must fall. He literally asks Lord Wang, how can I show favoritism?
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this interaction is the absolute core of the story's philosophy. Notice what is completely absent from this disaster.
What's that?
The gods are not acting out of wrath. They are not punishing the people of Zhangqi because they sinned or failed to make sacrifices.
Oh, right. There's no angry deity throwing lightning bolts to teach humanity a moral lesson.
None whatsoever. And that is a stark contrast to how many other cultures view natural disasters.
That's a really good point.
In this Taoist framework, the Hail God is just a middle manager fulfilling an inflexible cosmic budget. The universe requires a certain amount of atmospheric energy, in this case, hail to be discharged to maintain cosmic balance.
This is just math.
Basically, yeah. The quota is an accounting necessity. The supreme deity has signed off on the budget, and Li Zuoshe has been assigned the task of spending it in Zhangqiu.
But hold on, I have to push back on this a little bit. If the Jade Emperor is the supreme omnipotent deity of heaven, why is he bound by a quota?
It seems counterintuitive, right?
Yeah. Is the spreadsheet literally more powerful than the emperor?
That is a brilliant question, and the answer is essentially yes. In Chinese cosmology, even the Jade Emperor is subject to the Tao, the underlying natural order of the universe.
Oh, interesting.
He doesn't create reality on a whim, he administers it. The heavenly bureaucracy exists to manage the intricate mathematical balance of yin and yang, weather patterns, life cycles.
So he's an administrator, not a dictator.
Exactly. If the ledger says it must hail, the emperor stamps the paperwork and the department executes it.
So the system is just too big to stop. But Lord Wang does what any good veteran bureaucrat would do. He begs relentlessly.
He wears them down.
Totally. He knows you can't fight the system, but you can annoy the middleman until they help you out. He just will not let it go. And eventually the Celestial Master relents.
He finds a way.
He does. He looks at the paperwork, so to speak, and finds a loophole. He turns to the hail god and gives him a very specific instruction. He says, drop most of it in the valleys and ravines, don't damage the crops.
Which is just a masterclass in administrative navigation. Lord Wang's empathy for his home region turns a rigid, terrifying mandate into, like, a negotiable contract.
It's amazing.
They meet the absolute letter of the law. The exact quota of hail will be dropped in the exact assigned region of Zhenghe, but they completely change its real-world impact. They target the unpopulated valleys instead of the agricultural lifelines.
It's benevolent compliance.
Yeah.
They aren't breaking the rules. They are just interpreting them with extreme prejudice to save the town.
Exactly.
So clever. So the deal is struck. The crops will be spared. The hail god is ready to leave the banquet and do his job. But before he departs, the Celestial Master gives him one final, wildly specific instruction.
This part is so strange.
It is, because they have a distinguished guest, present meaning Lord Wang. The Master tells the god he must depart, quote, civilly, not martially.
Civilly, not martially. It's such a peculiar phrase to direct at a weather pattern.
It really is. It basically translates to, be polite, mind your manners, use your inside voice when you leave.
Right, don't make a scene.
But the text then describes the physical toll this restraint takes on the hail god, and it is incredibly cinematic. Smoke starts billowing from the god's feet.
Just filling the room.
Yeah, it's swirling thick all over the courtyard floor. He is visibly struggling, like straining his entire body just to rise a few inches into the air. The text says it takes him a full quarter of an hour just to clear the tops of the trees.
Which is an absolute eternity when you are standing at a banquet watching someone try to fly.
It's so awkward. And he's trying so hard. Then he has to heave himself up again just to get higher than the pavilion.
Just inching upwards.
And finally, when he reaches a certain altitude in the sky, there's this massive, deafening clap of thunder. A single boom that shakes the very foundations of the houses. It rattles the dishes on the banquet tables, and then he just shoots off toward the north.
The tension finally breaks.
Yeah. And Lord Wang is absolutely terrified by this violent exit. And reading this, you have to wonder, if that was him being polite and civil, what on earth does a normal martial exit look like?
Well, that is exactly what Lord Wang asks the Celestial Master. And the Master's explanation is chilling, honestly.
What does he say?
He says that if he hadn't explicitly warned the god to hold back, to leave civilly, the hail god would have vanished instantly from flat ground with a single earth-shattering crack of thunder right there in the dining hall.
Just boom, gone. And the entire building probably comes down on top of them.
Precisely. This raises such an important question about the sheer suppressed power of nature in these stories.
Oh, for sure.
Think about the friction we are witnessing here. The text is showing us that even when the divine actively attempts to be delicate, when a literal god tries to adhere to human etiquette and be polite to human sensibilities,
Its inherent force is still just too much.
yes, it's so vast that the mere act of suppressing it literally shakes the foundations of the human world.
It takes immense, agonizing physical effort for a natural disaster to, tiptoe out of a room.
Because tiptoeing is fundamentally against its nature. The smoke, the agonizingly slow ascent, the physical strain, that is the visual manifestation of a chaotic elemental force being forced into the constrained artificial box of human civilization and manners.
It makes so much sense.
It's a brilliant physical detail from Pu Songling. It reminds us that while these gods might wear robes and carry calling cards and act like bureaucrats, underneath it all, they are still raw, untamed forces of nature.
You can put a hurricane in a suit, but it's still a hurricane.
Exactly.
I love that detail so much. So the hail god flies off to fill his quota. The banquet eventually ends, and Lord Wang finishes his visit and goes home. Now, being a pragmatic government official, Wang makes a note of the exact date and time of this bizarre encounter.
Naturally, he's keeping a record.
Of course. And when he finally gets back to his region, he sends someone to check on his home district of Zhanghe to see what actually happened on that specific day.
It's the verification phase, the bureaucratic audit.
Yes, the audit. And the result is exactly what was promised. A massive, catastrophic hailstorm hit Zhanghe on that precise day.
But the loophole.
But the loophole. Here's the miracle. The investigators report that the ditches, the canals, and the deep ravines were completely overflowing with massive chunks of hail.
Tons of it.
Yeah, but out in the crop fields, the agricultural heart that actually keeps the region alive, there were only a few scattered pieces of ice. The crops were totally safe.
The loophole worked perfectly, the cosmic quota was met, the spreadsheet balanced, but the human disaster was completely mitigated.
It's an incredibly satisfying ending.